Hello, you're watching us from RTD English edition, Top Stories. The head of state received this morning the Secretary General of the Arab League. In the West Bank, Israel destroys a school for the 5th time. It is nice to have you with us. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Mergeli, has today received in an audience the Secretary General of the Arab League, Mr. Ahmed Abul Gheit. The meeting between the head of state and the Secretary General of the Arab League focused on the latest developments in the Middle East following the decision of the US President Donald Trump to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and announce the transfer of the US embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. In order to thwart this decision, the Arab League called on the international community to recognize the state of Palestine with its Jerusalem capital. An awareness mission was set up to support this initiative. Then the question of the interference of Iran and its allied militia was also discussed, as well as the ongoing crisis in Yemen and Syria. The meeting was attended by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mohammed Ali Yusuf, the Secretary General of the Presidency, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, the Ambassador of Djibouti in Cairo, Mr. Mohammed Dour, and the Director of the Arab Department at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Mohammed Douali. In an interview with the national television, Arab League Secretary General Mr. Ahmed Abul Gheit first explained that he came to Djibouti to congratulate the country on its presidency of the Council of Foreign Affairs Ministers of the Arab League member countries and pay tribute to the Minister of Foreign Affairs Mohammed Ali Yusuf. I wanted to meet for some time with the President of Djibouti to access his vision of types of responses to advocate in the context of multiple challenges and issues that increasingly faces the Arab League, said in substance Mr. Gheit. Through this visit to Djibouti, my goal is essentially to feed my reflection on the issues on the agenda of our organization through direct contact with President Ismail Mergeli, a statesman with long experience known notoriously for its fineness in finding inclusive and sustainable solutions, he continued. The Secretary General of the Arab League, who also praised the invaluable assistance, especially the reception of refugees that our country have brought to the Yemeni sister nation at the height of the civil war in this brother country, reported the motivation of his organization to collaborate permanently with the Republic of Djibouti. As for the Djiboutian head of diplomacy and government spokesman, Mohammed Ali Yusuf, reacted after the meeting between President Ghaili and Mr. Abu Gheit. This is what he said.
The General Secretary of the Arab League is a man with experience, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Egypt, who was the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Egypt, and the permanent representative of Egypt in New York. And since 2 years, he is at the head of the Arab League. The Arab world is going through very difficult periods, and it is not easy to be at the head of this organization, contained to all the crises that are happening in this region. We all know that Yemen, Syria, and Iraq are in disastrous situations. So the Secretary General has a very heavy responsibility on his shoulder, and Djibouti wants to show its support to this leader.
In the run-up to the next parliamentary election scheduled for February 23, the President of the Republic received today the members of the CNC, the National Commission of Communication. This body is responsible for ensuring the respect of pluralism of information. It will assume a role of control and legal framework for the respect of the regulation and laws within the media. All claims concerning the distribution of the airtime of the RTD during the official campaign will henceforth be addressed to the CNC instead of the Constitutional Council. The CNC is not a judicial body that submits its opinions and conclusions to the Ministries of Communication. Attended the meeting the Secretary General of the Presidency, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi. Under the high patronage of the Minister Delegate in charge of decentralization, Mr. Hamidou Mohamed Aramis, an exchange workshop between the actors of decentralization and members of a network called United Cities and Local Government of Africa is open at the Sheraton Hotel. This workshop will last for 2 days and its works will continue until tomorrow. It saw the participation of the Mayor Fadma Awale Osman, the members of the Executive Committee of the Regions and Commons, the representative of the ministries, as well as the heads and executives of delegate ministry in charge of decentralization. The participation in this workshop of a delegation of the network called United Cities and Local Government of Africa results of the efforts of the Ministry of Decentralization to increase contacts between this continental organization and national local authorities. The Mayor Fatuma Awale Osman said the following in her intervention during the workshop.
Je voudrais particulièrement exprimer.
I would like to express myself as the president of the National Association of the Local Collective by giving warm words to welcome in my country my colleagues from the City of the United Local Government of Africa, which is called Sigulia Africa, and to the Rwandese delegation who made from a long way to participate to this workshop, which is also a basic inter-Africa interaction to build together our continent, and thanks to the dynamics of our local communities. The Africa Association of the Local Authorities of Djibouti begins to play a key role in the relation which unites the community to the actors of the decentralization.
In a speech delivered on this occasion, the Minister Delegate in charge of decentralization, Hamidou Mohamed Aramis, first welcomed the delegation of the Network United Cities and Local Government of Africa to Djibouti, and he immediately stressed that the holding of this workshop reflects the new dynamics imposed in the policy to accelerate the process of decentralization. Let's listen to him.
And local governance are at the heart of the Sigulia Africa, and that is why the Sigulia Africa has developed a strategic plan that includes 3 main objectives that allows us to contribute to the decentralization and local governance. The first objective plan is based on lobbying, because the local communities must be undertook by the central government because the citizen is their customer, and as a customer, every citizen must have quality service. Excellency Minister, I would like to congratulate you on my name and on the behalf of the Djiboutian Association of the Local Development Mission for having agreed to proceed this workshop and to set out for the administrative and logistical organization for this workshop and to direct on this workshop in a good condition. The ADEL Association is also congratulating the President of the Republic, who had made the decentralization on his primary objectives.
The second phase of the blind or visually impaired special needs training program closed this morning at the Guled Stadium. This training program started on January 21st, 2018. It led by the General Secretary of the Presidency. About 30 blind or visually impaired persons benefited from this training, led by Mr. Idris Mumin, Head of MENFOP Service, and Mr. Douali Said, Advisor to the President of the Republic in charge of people with special needs. Through this training, visually impaired or blind people, the aim is to provide psychological support to get out of their isolation, to impel them to continue studying and work. It's about making them understand that they are part of the society despite their disability. The Secretary General of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Muhammad Abdullah Mahyoub, presided a launching ceremony of 2 training courses at the Teacher Training Center of Basic Education, including a training in ICT and other one, the experimental introduction of English in basic education, which will take place from February 4 to 8. participated in this training launching ceremony senior MENFOB officials, inspectors, regional leaders, heads of institutions, teachers, and international experts. The aim of the training is to develop and use new communication technologies in schools. A Chinese delegation led by the mayor of Kungsu had a meeting with the authorities of ports and free zones. The authority of ports and free zones was represented by the administrative director, Mr. Muhammad Adel Sheikh. The Chinese delegation had a meeting of presentation and information on the different potentialities that offers the Port of Djibouti. The director of the marketing department, Muhammad Arif, directed this information he has clarified them on the different large projects of infrastructure that the port has already undertaken and the prospection it plans to undertake in the coming years, namely the dynamism of trade in free zones, the new large free zone which is under construction. After the meeting, the Chinese delegation visited the various ports of Djibouti. They began their visit by the port of Durale, where they saw firsthand the work done. Then the visit came to an end at the Multipurpose Djibouti Port, or DMP, which is the new Chinese-built hotel that offers several services and facilities regional exchange. Obituary. It is with great sadness that we learn of the passing of Sheikh Ahmed Yassin Umar Jilani. The deceased was the Qadi of the Ali Sabih region and was born on July 29, 1968 in Ali Sabih and leaves behind him 2 widows and 6 children. The deceased has succumbed to a disease for a few months following the death. The prefect of the region of Ali Sabih, Mr. Muhammad Wabir Asowi, the Minister of Communication in charge of Postal and Telecommunications, Abdi Yusuf Suge, the Minister of Labor, Hassan Idris Samirre, the parliamentarians of the region send their most saddened condolences to the family and members of the deceased and also pays tribute, vibrant tribute to a great figure. May the merciful Allah grant him paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. On the international news, in the West Bank, Israel destroys a school for the 5th time. It is a European Union funded school for nomadics in the West Bank. It is the 5th time the Israeli authorities have destroyed the Abu Nuwar school, a project funded by the European Union for the nomadic communities of the occupied West Bank. Yesterday, the Israeli army razed 2 classrooms on the village hill after closing the area last year. At the same time, the IDF had already destroyed the entire school after the demolition. The children in the company of their teachers took place at the place where the building was razed. The Israeli authorities still claim that the classrooms were built without permission. The inhabitants rebuilt each time with the help of the NGOs and European funds. Tens of thousands once nomadic settled in villages in southern Israel and the West Bank. For the governor of Jerusalem, Adnan Husseini, it is a strategy, said. This area is targeted by settlement surrounded this side from all sides because the Israelis who want to continue their colonization and steal the land surrounding Jerusalem. The EU, through Chadi Ottoman, head of mediated relations at the EU office in Jerusalem, has asked once again for Israel not to demolish the projects it finances, which aims to improve the living conditions of Palestinians. This is it for this edition. Thank you for joining us on RTD channel and have a good night.